Hello and welcome. My name is Jason. I'm the CEO of Stingray's Bookkeeping. My website is stingraysbookkeeping.com. I have a YouTube channel, Professor Stingray's Small Business Bookkeeping Made Easy. Earning a degree in accounting was more difficult to me due to my post-concussion syndrome issues. I was encouraged to take a long sabbatical, and I wrote my own autobiography, The Journey of Two Angels. It was written in a format of one extremely long creative writing session that lasted 7 months. I created a website, journeyoftwoangels.com. The full journal as of 2025 is unpublished. I'm using the autobiography as source material. I'm creating several topic-specific sub-books under the series title of Two Angels. Both Two Angels on my website and Two Angels on Amazon Kindle. Two Angels, My Life with my CTE. I cover TBI, post-concussion syndrome, and CTE. This is a first-person account of my healing from a concussion in 2008 that was a brain scrambling. I have severe post-concussion syndrome, and I go into great detail. Chapter 1 is the CTE medical terminology. Chapter 2 is I was learning how my brain works. I'm dyslexic, so I was taught how my brain learns and stuff like that. Chapter 3 is my two major concussions, about the accidents and what happened. Chapter 4 is my life coping with CTE the first few years after the concussion and the healing. Chapter 5 was my healing injuries through brain therapy. I've been doing a lot of work the last 5 years, and I think that's helped my brain heal. Chapter 6 is my abilities lost due to the concussion TBI. I go through exactly what has changed, because since I know my brain so well, I know what I lost. Chapter 7 is the phoenix rising from the ashes. I lost my life, I lost my career from the last concussion, and I'm trying to rebuild something out of it. I could not think of a better metaphor than a phoenix rising from the ashes. Two Angels, the unheard voices of CTE. These are 8 athletes that gave their lives for CTE research. Their deaths were seen as suicides for depression or money woes, and their real reason, their voice is unheard. The real reason was for CTE research. These 8 athletes were our heroes. We cheered them on Sundays or on Saturday nights for the wrestling. They were our heroes on the field. They were our pillars of the community off the field. I think they were heroes leading the research in CTE. And I wanted to give their voices a lasting voice so they can be heard through many years. Both of my books, my 2 sub books, My Life with my CTE, as well as Unheard Voices, are on my website, Journey of Two Angels, as well as Amazon Kindle. What is CTE? What is CTE? This is from Boston University. This comes from my autobiography I wrote in 2022. Before you can understand my journey, a quick education is required so everyone can be on the same page. To be clear, the following section was taken straight from the experts' websites, credible news outlets, using their own medical terminology and definitions. Dr. Benay Omala, he's the forensic pathologist depicted in Will Smith's 2015 movie Concussion. A forensic neuropathologist working for the Pittsburgh Medical Examiner discovered, published in a medical journal, and named it CTE, chronic traumatic, and I don't pronounce the E. I have that, but I can't pronounce it. The Boston University CTE Center is the current leader in research and will refer to as BU through this chapter in my videos. The BU website, under the topic of frequently asked questions, what is CTE? Chronic traumatic is a progressive degenerative disease of the brain found in people with a history of repetitive brain traumas, often athletes. This is including symptomatic concussive as well as asymptomatic subconcussive hits to the head that do not cause symptoms. There are concussions that cause symptoms, and there are smaller concussions called subconcussions that don't cause symptoms. CTE has been known to affect boxers since the 20s when it was initially termed punch drunk syndrome or dementia pigasta. In recent years, reports have been published of neuropathology confirming CTE found in other athletes, including football and hockey players, both playing and retired, as well as military veterans who have a history of repetitive brain trauma. CTE is not limited to current professional athletes. It has been found in athletes who did not play sports after high school or college. So this is found in kids who graduated high school and played sports in high school and they end up having CTE later on in life. The repeated brain trauma triggers progressive degeneration of the brain tissue, including the buildup of abnormal protein called tau. These changes in the brain can begin months, years, or even decades after the last brain trauma or end of active athletic involvement. The brain degeneration is associated with common symptoms of CTE, including memory loss, confusion, impaired judgment, impulse control problems, aggression, depression, suicidality, Parkinson's, and eventually progressive dementia. Now, what is a concussion? A concussion has occurred anytime you have a blow to the head that caused you to have symptoms for any amount of time. You do not need to have lost consciousness to have a concussion. That's a myth. You have to be knocked out to have a concussion. That's a myth. These symptoms include blurred or double vision, seeing stars, sensitivity to light or noise, headaches, dizziness or balance problems, nausea, vomiting, trouble sleeping, fatigue, confusion, difficulty remembering, difficulty concentrating, or loss of consciousness. A concussion has also occurred when a person gets a ding or gets their bell rung. What are the symptoms of CTE? The symptoms of CTE include memory loss, confusion, impaired judgment, impulse control problems, aggression, suicidality, Parkinson's, and eventual progressive dementia. I repeat this. These symptoms are often begin years or even decades after the last brain trauma. How is CTE diagnosed? At this time, this was in 2022, this time CTE can only be diagnosed after death by postmortem neuropathological analysis. It's not much changed. Right now, there is no way to use the MRI, CT, or other imaging methods to diagnose CTE. The center is actively conducting research aimed at learning how to diagnose it while we're still alive. Can CTE be cured? What can I do if I think I have CTE? Unfortunately, at this time, there's no cure for CTE. However, the center is currently conducting ongoing clinical research aimed at discovering how CTE develops and progressive, the risk factors for development of the disease, and how to diagnose the disease during life. The symptoms of CTE, such as depression and anxiety, can be treated individually. If you believe you or a loved one may have CTE, please read through the Living with CTE page and talk with your doctor. The Living with CTE page. You are not alone. If you are concerned about yourself or someone you care about has CTE, you are not alone. There is help. Many symptoms of CTE are treatable, and resources are available to help you find support and live a full life. It is important to know that people who appear to have CTE while alive have not been found. It is important to know that people who have appeared to have CTE while alive have been found not to have CTE upon post-mortem examination of the brain. And even if I don't have CTE, it turns out this is still my videos and book are still a great reference for what post-concussion syndrome is like and healing. The above was copied straight from the BU Boston University Research Center's web pages. Now we move on to the Mayo Clinic. A traumatic brain injury, or we call it TBIs now, from the Mayo Clinic. It usually results from a violent blow or jolt to the head or body. An object that goes through brain tissue, such as a bullet or shattered piece of skull, also can cause TBIs. A post-concussion syndrome, PCS I call it. I have this in severe ways. When long-term effects of concussion, those that last or persist for more than 3 weeks, is clinically known as post-concussion syndrome. I'm 17 years and I still have symptoms. Now, subconcussive concussions. Subconcussive hits are those that are below the concussion threshold. The brain is shaken, but not so violently that the damage to the brain cells is severe enough to see through symptoms or see any symptoms. This is from the concussionfoundation.org. Are repeated subconcussive hits to the brain dangerous? I think they are. Data from both animal and human studies suggest that repeated subconcussive hits may be more dangerous than previously thought. They stack up like a sandwich. They don't go away and heal. It gets worse. More concussions make the post-concussion syndrome even worse. Recent evidence suggests that in some cases the brain may suffer real damage from subconcussive hits even without any immediate signs or symptoms of the concussion. Verywellhealth.com. What is brain fog? I had the concussion mine in 2008, and I was in a brain fog until 2012 and 13, 4 to 5 years. What is brain fog? Foggy brain. Brain fog is frequently reported symptoms that have been gaining more and more attention in the world of research. It is commonly reported by people who have suffered whiplash or concussion injuries and associated with extended recovery time. Sudden occurrences of memory loss with a noticeable and sudden decline in your short-term memory capacity, an inability to navigate familiar places with natural causes. I talk about Dave Durison. He was a native to Chicago, but he had to have maps to get around the state or the city, and that was frustrating because he knew the city like the back of his hand. So familiar places, natural ease. You can get around as easy. General feeling of fuzziness and a marked inability to think coherently and clearly. You are in a fog. You can't think clearly. The constant feeling that your mind is moving through a thick fog or haze. Medicine Net. I had that for 5 years, about the constant feeling that your mind is moving through a thick fog or haze.